As I mentioned previously, our guest minister today is Reverend Bill Curwood. He comes from New Zealand, I believe. Yes. And he was here in 2011 during Benny's most recent sabbatical. And I was here for this, and I enjoyed it immensely. Granted, I've been in Worship and Wonder for the last 5 or 6 years, so memories have kind of faded. But I do remember he wanted us to have one message when Benny came back, and it was party, party, party. So maybe we'll have a good little New Year's Eve party today with Reverend Curwood at the pulpit.
Thank you. It's good to be back again after these years. It's a great compliment to any preacher that someone would remember anything you said 6 years ago. And we have some guest preachers in the congregation this morning, which adds up to my nervous quantum quite a good deal, but I love them so dearly it doesn't matter. So. You really don't need my sermon after the children's message this morning. It was just lovely. Very, very helpful indeed. Seeing there's only about half the usual congregational list this morning, I feel encumbered to preach twice as long. And I'm going to start in that mode by reading firstly an extra scripture this morning. Psalm 137. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down and we wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our hearts upon the willows in the midst of it. For there those who carried us away captive required of us a song, and those who plundered us required of us mirth, saying, sing one of your songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? Now I want to read, that's enough of looking back, Acts chapter 2, a vital church. And with many other words he testified and exhorted them, saying, be saved from this perverse generation. Then those who gladly received his word were baptized, and that day about 3,000 souls were added to them. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and prayers. Then fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. Now all who believed were together and had all things in common, and sold their possessions and goods, and divided them among all, as anyone had need. So continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church those who were being saved. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. This is the last day of this year, although down in New Zealand it's already tomorrow on the other side of the date line. This is the last day of the year, and we may be given to looking back and thinking and remembering and even perhaps wishing. But this is the moment also when we look forward with hope in our eyes to what's next. And what's next is always so very important. That's the exciting thing about life. What's next? It's easy to look back and feel glum. It's easy to look back and feel as though that all the good days are in the past, that it was back there when we were great and when we were good, as though this is a nothing time, which is an absolute denial of Christian faith. I've been thinking about going back at the end of the year, and I'm getting old. I'm in my middle 80s, and I look back and I wonder what year I'll go back to. Which was the best one to go back to? It's very difficult, isn't it? Because we've seen so many changes in life. We've had the sexual revolution, we've had the AIDS problem, we've had the Ebola problem, we've had war in the Middle East, and it continues forever and ever, amen. We've seen a slump or a depression. We've seen good things too, but what year will we go back to? Which is the good old year when we were winning? I sometimes think about the football and the basketball coach and what they talk about at half time. The time between the first half and the second half. What do they talk about in the locker room? Is it a pat on the back or a little lower and harder? What does the coach talk about at half time? I hope that the coach can speak words of encouragement that turns the team around and sends them out into the field, onto the court, with a new sense of resolution. We'll make this good thing happen. Because you see, the best days, the best moments are never in the past. It's what's next. Because what's next is where we have our breath, our wind of life, our pursuit air, and a wonderful sense of being. It's what's next. What's here for today and what's there for tomorrow. When the Hebrew people were taken into captivity by the Babylonians, they wept because they remembered home. They remembered what things were like. And the Babylonians asked them to sing songs, and they couldn't sing for the life of them. I can't sing anyway, but anyway, that's another story. Sometimes I think of home on the other side of the world, and I've had family with me in my home for 5 weeks. Our daughter was married this month, and we had a lot of New Zealanders come for that event, and they tell me I'm talking like a New Zealander again instead of a Kentuckian. That's all right too. It's all right to remember home. It's all right to remember how things were. But you just can't stay there, because what's next is far more important. And so we journey on into a new year, like pilgrims on a journey. I look back in my own life and I had many wishes and wants. Would we do it all over again? I don't know. But the important thing is there is today. And there is tomorrow. And God's not done with us yet. God is here to surprise us with what can happen in the new year. For the Hebrew people, it would have been much easier for them to stay in Jerusalem, the holy city not only to the Christians, of course, but to Islamic people as well. Two people have to share the same city, the same bed, as it were, the same ground to walk on, the same air to breathe. It's a holy city to many people. But we dream of home and what it was like. Let's dream of home for just a little moment. Perhaps we could go back to the 50s and 60s. Now maybe they were the good years to go back to, the 50s and the 60s. Eisenhower was President of the United States, and we built all the new roads and therefore needed faster cars like Oldsmobiles. good and fine and sturdy? Yes, they were the days, the good old days. The good old days when we sat on the front porch and drank lemonade and visited with our neighbours. Before we decided that AC was pretty good, and we went to the new den at the back of the house and watched television and waved at our neighbour when we were backing out of the garage without speaking. Were they the good old days? The good old days when the kids played on the lawns while we sat on the porch drinking lemonade. And now the kids don't play on the front lawn anymore because they're in their bedrooms playing with all the electronic equipment which I refuse to use. I find it such an invasion of my privacy, such an invasion of my life that I don't want to have anything to do with all those electronic games. It took me a long time to learn how to use a telephone, let alone a fast phone. And I, what is it, 156? Where are we going to with all of this? I don't know. Yes. Kids don't bother to play in the front lawn anymore. They're missing out the human contact, sad to say. They don't want to play with their friends, they'd rather play with their machinery. And besides, the Oldsmobile is gone. My best car was an Oldsmobile. It was red too. Just after I was here 6 years ago, Linda and I went north to Canada to visit some cousins we didn't know we had. And we stopped in Michigan on the way home to a festival named the Curwood Festival for a member of my father's family. And in the middle of the night we got a call from some friends in Cincinnati to say that their daughter had become very seriously ill, was needing urgent surgery. We packed up our cases pretty quickly and we were out the door of the hotel and on our way. We were coming round Detroit and there was a great field out to the side of this main highway with hundreds and hundreds of kids playing baseball or t-ball or whatever the game was that Sunday morning. And I hope they were having fun. We weren't. And I couldn't help but think, I don't want to play ball. I'm looking for conviction. I'm looking for faith. I'm looking for hope because I'm afraid. And the days to follow were very difficult indeed, but the end of the story is life and health and strength for our daughter. 3 weeks ago she was married, and a year and 3 months ago, she assumed the pastorate of Anderson Hills Christian Church after having graduated from Lexington Theological Seminary. And some of us here know how difficult it is to graduate from Lexington Theological Seminary. And we also know how worthwhile it is to be able to use your life for something good and something strong with some good purpose. To be able to sing your songs even in a foreign land when things are not going well, because we know that God is good. As old George Wilson, my dearly beloved Sunday school teacher, used to say, just remember, the Lord's still in the business. Very, very helpful. But the business has changed, yes, it has indeed. But as I grow closer to 85 and 75 by a long shot, I look back and thank God for the church, for the community of faith that gives us courage in good times and in bad times. As we look back and say, well, what were the times we'd like to repeat? And all our struggles of life, at this half-time moment, our great coach would tell us, All in the past that is wrong is forgiven. It's wiped out. It's a new day, a new opportunity to find faith and hope. It's a new day to look forward to what's next. This coming week, the Wildcats will start their basketball season proper, as it were. Or is it called properly? I'm not sure. And that will be when the SEC conference begins. The battle begins. And here's a new year when the battle for our new life will begin. Our battle for what's next. Now, the people of Babylon were imprisoned in a foreign country for a long time. And the Babylonians were defeated by the Persians. There's always something going on in the Middle East, isn't there? And the Persians didn't have any particular cause to worry about these Jewish people. So they said to them, go home. Go home. And they did. And the interesting thing was that those who were in captivity, who were taken away, kept their faith more strongly, with greater endurance than those who had been allowed to simply stay in their homeland. Out of all the sadness and depressions, their faith in God was enlarged. And I find that a good word as we begin the new year. You know, things aren't as good as they used to be. I'm not sure they ever were, says one comedian. But there is a future. And as we undergo the difficulties and problems of life, we can be made stronger and given a new sense of hope and courage because God is with us. When I left my hometown after having graduated from Glenleith College in 1964, I was going to start my ministry with a church that was greatly distressed. In 99 years, they had never had a good old Barney in the church. And they had a terrible row in this church. And there wasn't a minister available to go there and fill the pulpit. And the principal of the theological college called me, a cousin of the great Dr. Wayne Bell, and he said to me, we need you to go to Spring Grove. And I thought, oh God in heaven, anywhere but please, not Spring Grove, not now. I don't know anything but books. But I set off. My twin brother said to me as I was leaving my hometown, I have a letter for you, waiting for you when you get there. So when I arrived at Spring Grove, sure enough, there was a letter there for me. And when I read it, John said to me, when you get there, God will be waiting for you. So when we get to tomorrow, a new year, just remember, God will be waiting for you. He is going before us, behind us, and within us. Dag Hammarskjöld said, night is drawing nigh, for all that has been, thanks, to all that shall be, yes. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord even in 2018. The Lord bless you and keep you. as you enter into a new year of hope and promise.